In this video, we are going to install the doors and windows for our model, but before I actually go into how to do that, there's something we need to update from the previous video that I totally spaced doing. So go to your bathroom, and in there you can see where we made a half wall between the sink and the tub, but I forgot this little line right here, so we need to clean that up a little bit. So this whole thing is a group, so what I have to do is click on the floor plan. I'm going to right click and do edit group. I go into edit mode and I can tell because I have the dash box around the model. Now I can go ahead and take the eraser tool and get rid of that line. Click the black arrow, click off the model, and then you can see that we are back in regular mode. Alright, so now that that's completed, let's talk a little bit about doors and windows. So there's two ways that we can go about installing doors and windows. The first way is that you can build your own doors or windows, and you can do that by simply just coming over here using shapes, so probably the rectangle, draw a shape on the ground, use the push-pull tool to bring it up, and then you can add all the kinds of details that you want to for your door. So that's one way to go about it. Make sure that if you do that method that you group the door that you create. Remember that groups don't stick to each other, and so that's why we go about doing that. We don't want anything to stick to our door because it can be really difficult to manage if it's sticking to surfaces. So always group your doors and windows that you build on your own. The second way of going about this is we can find models already built online and copy them into the model. So there's a lot of companies who are starting to have 3D models of their actual products available for designers to use in models. So feel free to visit websites of manufacturers like Steelcase or Ethan Allen, Think Furniture, Think Doors and Windows. A lot of these companies are starting to get models. So see if any of them have any SketchUp models that you can use. There are other websites that you can use that might not be the actual products of companies themselves, but they represent furniture and accessories well. So they might have the look or style that you're going for your client. So one of these websites is called a 3D Warehouse, so let me take you there. Here it is. Just make sure that when you get here that you sign in using your Trimble account. So that's the account that you use to download SketchUp to use. You can also create a free account if you haven't downloaded SketchUp yet. So you have to do that step or else you won't be able to download any of the models. So you can see that I'm already signed in here and we're ready to go. The 3D Warehouse houses all kinds of models that people from all kinds of places have designed. So you can pretty much find anything here, from toilets to cats to tractors. I mean, here's a shop vac, here's clothes hanging on a hanger. There's all kinds of things that you can find here. Just simply type in the search bar for what it is that you're looking for. Now, before we go looking at doors, I do want to give you a couple of warnings. First, because these are uploaded by all kinds of different people, it means that the models are going to have all different kinds of parameters. So first, look at the size of the file, especially for plants. If your computer is not strong enough in terms of processor and RAM, large files or models with very small and curvy details like plants or even some furniture can weigh your SketchUp model down, making it really slow and hard to work with. So just be careful adding large files into your personal models. If you do, just be sure to save often and to save up backup copies just in case. Now, I've had it where students have had so much added to their model, it's just crazy amounts of small details that eventually it got to the point where they couldn't even open up their file anymore. So shopper beware. Secondly, model makers can put parameters into the models so that you can't change them in any way. So you can't resize the model. You can't put different materials on them. So for instance, if you download a window to add into your model and you keep trying to resize it and to make it smaller so that you can actually fit it into the opening, if for some reason the window doesn't size down, it means it's not the window for you. Some companies do that because their window sizes can't be customized. So as you move forward with your model making, just know that you simply might have to choose something else, or you might have to build it from scratch if you like that particular style. Alright, so I'm going to demonstrate how to use a model from 3D Warehouse and how to get it into your own personal models. So what we're going to do is we're going to look for a nice front door. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to type door in the search bar. And here are all the doors that we can use. So you can see that there's lots of different types and it just kind of keeps going and going and going. There's even walls that are already in there's doors that are already in walls. And as I keep scrolling down, you can see that there's many different kinds of doors that I could use. So I'm going to come over here. I like a particular door, this Arizani door. That one works great. So I'm going to click on it. And what you can do is you can like this one, you can add it to your favorites, and you can also add it to folders if you want to keep track of what you've been downloading. Here's where it says file size so that you know how big or how small the file actually is. Polygons is how many shapes it takes to actually create the door. There's 12 materials associated with it, and this was updated in 2020. So if I want to use this door, what I do is I click download and then I choose the appropriate version of SketchUp. So if you are currently working in like 2019, please do not try to download the 2020 version. 2019 cannot read 2020 version models. But if you are in 2020, you could always download a 2017 model. It's kind of funny how that works. But I have 2020 on my computer, so I'm just going to go ahead and hit that one. And I'm on a PC, so it goes automatically to the downloads folder, and then it also pops up on the downloads bar. So all I'm going to do is click on it when it comes here, and it's going to take a minute to open. La 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 la. There it is. Beautiful. This very beautiful door, so it's got a nice frame around it. I can go on the back side. The only downside is it doesn't really have a doorknob here for some reason, but that's okay. We can always add that kind of stuff to models. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to click on the model and see what happens. So in this instance, the entire door selected, so that means it's already grouped, which is great. That's what I want. If for some reason you click on this door and maybe just like a panel selects instead of the entire thing, that means it's not grouped yet. So go ahead and group it by triple clicking on the door, right click and choose make group. Now since mine's already grouped, I'm good to go. So I am just going to highlight it and then I'm going to come up to edit and I'm going to choose copy, or you can do Control C to copy it. Then I'm going to come back down here because what it did is it opened a brand new SketchUp file. So I'm going to go back to my model and I'm actually going to zoom around to the front, and then I'm going to do an edit paste or a Control V. And you'll see that that door comes right in and looks great, ready to go. So I want this door to fit into the door opening here, but when you look at it, it looks awfully big. So that means that I just need to resize it. So the best way that I can go about doing that is with the scale command, which is located right here. So I'm going to click on that and you'll see that we have a whole bunch of grips show up. I like using the middle center grip because it will control the size of both the height and the width at the same time. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to make a really small door at first, and I'm going to hold the shift to keep it in proportion. If I don't, I can get a skinny door or I can get like a really tall fat door, but holding shift keeps it in nice proportion. So I'm going to make it really small, and kind of like I tell my students, it's going to be like a Baby Yoda door. Alright, so now that it's small, I'm going to click the door and I'm going to click the move command, and what I want to do is I want to get this corner of the door to move to that corner. So I have to use my mouse And let's just grab it right here and see what happens. So I'm going to click, and then I'm going to go back into space, and I'm going to do my best to try and get it to snap right into place. Just like that. Now if you ever go inside a wall like I just did, just hit the zoom extents and it'll take you back out, and then you can kind of rework yourself. So now I have this cute little baby Yoda door sitting right inside of that doorway. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take the scale tool again, and this time I'm going to go for the center button or grip, and I'm going to bring it all the way up, and you can almost feel it snap into place. Same thing with this one. Now could I have used that center one? Sure, I probably could have, but I don't know. I just like using the center ones for whatever reason. So now I'm clicking off, and you can see that I have placed that door very well into that opening. Now coming over here on the other side of the door, yes, my wall is super thick right here, so it creates like a strange lip. So either you're okay with that or you're not. Now you can always try to rescale it by grabbing it here so that it fills that space, but as you can see it does weird things, so sometimes you have to play with it a little bit to get it to work. Yeah, something kind of like that should work okay. So it's up to you. I don't personally mind that there's a little bit of a wall showing because our walls are so thick, but you can make it do whatever you want it to do, but that looks pretty good. So that's how you go about taking something from 3D Warehouse and placing it into the model. So you can do that for all the doors and even all the windows if you want to. I'm just going to show you how to do a nice basic simple window, and that is just done with a rectangle. I could go to 3D Warehouse and download it, but I just want to do something quick and simple. I'm going to grab the rectangle tool, and I'm going to find the midpoint. So you can always find the midpoint by just kind of hovering your mouse. I'm going to click, and yes, the rectangle tool is going to do some weird things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back over here, and I'm going to go to the diagonal of this window. Whoa. And as soon as I find the middle, you can see that the rectangle goes right into place, and then I'm going to click. So what that did is it created a rectangle inside of this opening. Now I can always come and use the push-pull tool, and maybe I'll make it like maybe 1 inch thick. What the heck? Just to kind of represent actual glass. Now I know you can't see through it, so I'm going to do a little sneaky thing. We're going to look at materials real quick. So over here in the default tray, you should see something that says materials. So just make sure that it could be like this. Make sure you open up that little bar, and it doesn't look like much, but what we're trying to do is find this scroll bar that says materials 1, and I'm going to click on that, and then you can see all of the materials that SketchUp comes with. So I'm going to go to glass and mirrors. Now these first two are mirrors. Don't worry about using those on a window. You could put glass blocks in. This is a blue looking glass. This is a green looking glass. This one has wires in it for safety. So you can kind of play with what you want, but all I'm going to do is just choose this translucent glass right here. And I'm going to click, and then I have to do the other side because I made it thick. If you just put a single rectangle, you wouldn't have to do it twice. But I did it twice because you can see that there's actually a thickness to my glass. And that's just a real quick, simple, easy way to go about adding glass into your windows if you don't want anything too fancy. Now, if I don't like the fact that this is so blue, what I can do is I can come over here to edit, and here's a color wheel, and I can actually move this little block in closer to white so that I can get it. And then I can also play with this here as well. It's a little tricky sometimes, so you just have to be careful, but there, like maybe if I want it something more like that. So that is basically how you can install doors and windows into your model. It's up to you guys to decide what styles you want, how you want things to look. I'm not going to demo how to do all of them, so just use these techniques. And through the power and magic of video editing, I'm going to show you what it looks like when it's done. La! Isn't this beautiful? Look at all those windows and interior doors installed. They look kind of similar to my exterior, but filled in a little bit. Just make sure that when you do the doors that you really watch which side should be the handle and which side should be where the hinges are located. So remember that the handles are always on this part of the door and the hinges are always on this part of the door. So if you need to move, copy, mirror, or flip doors, be sure to check out my other SketchUp series that I have here on YouTube. It's going to have all that information for how to do some of that stuff. The other thing I wanted to point out as well, well, like as you can see, I do have the handle on the wrong side of the door here, so I need to fix that. But the diagonal windows did not work the same way that the flat windows, that are aligned with the coordinate system. So I had to go about putting those in a different way, and I wanted to demonstrate that here with these two diagonal walls. It's really simple. I did it the same way, except I just used the line tool. So line tool, find the center, and then just trace the center of the interior part of that opening. And then when you bring it back to the beginning where you first started drawing, forgive my orbiting skills, they're really crappy, then you get that, and then you can push pull 1 inch, and then it's all about putting the mirror in, or the window in, sorry, not the mirror. Not mirrors, everybody. So, just one more time, pencil tool, find the middle, and just trace the interior of that window. And there is that 1 inch, and then glass front and back, and again it's only front and back because I gave a thickness to it. If I just left the rectangle in there, I'd just have to click once for the material. So there we go. Doors and windows are installed.